Hi, this is Marty Schupak for tballamerica.com. And today I just want to discuss some creativity with different things you could do in your backyard. We're all going through this COVID right now. We're all isolated in our homes. But if you could see through some of the negatives and turn a negative into a positive with your kids, use it as an opportunity to spend time with the kids and to create different things, either with sports or other things. There are a few things you could do. What I love doing is taking household items and I like making them into what I call props. Now you could go out and buy something, and I'm going to show you one thing that I did buy, but there's some value when you spend time with your own kids making things. It's something that they'll remember. When I was looking for a way for kids to learn how to catch with two hands, I came up with the idea, and since then, I would love to take credit for it. I took a round piece of, well, it wasn't round, but a piece of plywood, and I made it round. It's 1/2 inch, and if you look closely, I put on a glove, I stapled it, and I have the players, and it's probably a little too young for T-balls, but you could try it. And what this does, it's forcing them on ground balls, if they use it, to field it with two hands. So this is an item you could make. Now, you don't have to use plywood. I happen to have access to it at a lumberyard in New York City, so I was able to do it fairly cheap. You could take a old ping pong paddle, you could break off the handle, and you could devise the same thing. It doesn't take that long. The next thing, and I mentioned that I'm going to show you a few things, one of which I bought. When you're dealing with T-ball players that are very young, and even when they're beyond T-ball, if they get hit in the head with a fly ball, there's a chance you'll never see them on a baseball field again. And I've seen it happen. What we have to do as parents and coaches, we have to make them feel comfortable trying to learn how to catch a fly ball. And when I came up with, I bought a cheap, what they call scotch, like this, which you could get anywhere, maybe online, very cheap. You might have it in your house. And I have the kids put it on the back of the hand, and I will throw, or I'll hit with a paddle, this Velcro ball. And they love doing this. When they catch it, it sticks, just like that. And it's non-threatening, the fact that they have this. What I also do is I take some newspapers sometimes, and usually 2 at a time, and I'll roll it up, and I'll put a single piece of masking tape 1 inch one way and another single piece the other way. And again, I'll throw it high in the air, and they don't necessarily have to catch it as long as they just make contact with their glove. And a lot of times I prefer to do it without gloves, so they make contact with the bare hand. And you have to make the skill achievable. So you want to tell the kids you don't have to catch it, you just have to touch it with your hand or with your glove. The third item I want to show you, and I use in a drill, which I'll put up on the website, it's called the scoop ball drill. And what I did is I take a gallon milk container, I take a utility knife, and I cut it a little more than a third, and I put duct tape around it. And the reason I do that, because it is sharp and we don't want anyone to get hurt. And I make 2 of these. I put the hand in it, and I take one of those newspapers I mentioned rolled up with a couple of pieces of masking tape, and I have a catch with my kids. I did it at home for all 3 of my kids, and they loved it. It's a good thing to do, but the key to these things is you want to make it with your kids. You want to be creative. I've spoken about this a lot of times, and like I said, there's value, and they will remember the times that you spend time with them making things also. We had spoken about throwing. I just want to go back. One of the things, and I didn't forget to talk about it, but I like with young kids to use a pitcher's mound. I like to use a pitcher's mound where they're actually stepping into the ball, going up the mound, not down the mound. I find that this helps with their skill as far as their form and also with the follow through. Now, I wouldn't do this the first day of practice with T-ball players. You could work up to it, okay? Keep in mind when you're working on skills such as throwing or hitting, kids will do a lot of things wrong. And we tend to overcoach and underteach. And by this, I mean sometimes, and if you're coaching 10, 11, 12-year-old kids, if you're giving them too many things to think about it when they're in the batter's box, it's kind of counterproductive. We want to keep it simple. And one of the things I have seen in my 25 years of coaching youth baseball, if a kid is doing like 4 or 5 things wrong, if you correct one or two of them, sometimes the other things, 3 or 4 things he's doing wrong, will kind of auto-correct themselves. I don't know why, it just happens, they are related, but just try it. Don't give the kids too much instructions. And again, don't overcoach and underteach, just keep it simple. For T-Ball America, this has been Marty Schupak.